Yes. Welcome, my friends. Thanks for being here. My name is Julius, and today I will be your mentor. Uh, Before we begin on lesson one, let's first start by knowing your mentor. Why do I call myself a mentor? First, my name is Julius uh, Koske for the full name. I am a software developer. I work full time as a software developer. I'm actively, or I've been in the industry actively for 8 years. I am a mentor more than an instructor. And when I'm not doing anything constructive, I love watching running or I love running. So, why am I saying I am just a mentor? No, you're a mentor. I am here to mentor you or to teach you in a mentorship way Python. Okay? In a mentorship way, I want to teach you Python. And this is a Python for beginners. Whatever we'll be talking here is barely for beginners. So, if you are, expert, or if you've worked with Python for a while, you're free to hang in around, and you might get one or three. But this is for beginners, and this is more of mentorship, more than just an introduction, or more than uh, instructions. So, lesson one. In these lessons, I will introduce you Python and its applications, what they use Python for. I will show you several websites built using Python, and why it's good to learn Python as your first programming language. And I will walk you how to set up Pythons on your computer. Sometimes Python is hard to install, sometimes, not always. But I will show you again to use Pythons online, on a browser. There's a lot of browsers that they support Pythons, and you can use it without even installing on your computer. I'll help you to choose the best IDE, and why whichever I will suggest, I will tell you why. But you're free to use whatever you have. I know most of you have already installed that IDE that you love. And then I will show you some basic Python syntax, and we write some fast program. Usually a lot of software developers, they start with a low wall. We'll do the same thing. Lesson two, we'll learn more on variables. This is fundamentals of every programming language. You need to learn variables and data types. I will introduce the variables and data types in Python, which is a little bit different to maybe the way they write it is different than Java or JavaScript or PHP. I will show you some of those data types. We'll learn how variables store data. We'll manipulate different data, and we'll show you how to store it. We'll play around with. I will teach you several data types, such as strings and integers and floats, and I will show you on all those differences about those things. Also, I'll show you about I'll teach you about operators to perform arithmetic operations like multiplication, addition, subtraction, modulus, all those kind of fun stuff. Lesson 3, we'll go to conditional statements and loops. In every software, even in a world, when you go to the store, you might compare this piece of bread with this piece of bread. You make decision based on that. You make decision based of size, the age, and height, the price, all those kind of things. Those are conditional statements. And we'll learn more on the differences, different type of loops, including a for loop, while loop, case statement, all those kind of loops. We'll learn how to use the loops to iterate over data structure, like arrays. We don't call arrays in it, we call it either tuple or dictionaries, that kind of thing. I'll show you all those. Lesson 4, we'll go to the main meat and potatoes of programming. Every programming language called functions. Functions, I will introduce you functions in Python. It's a little bit different than function in PHP if you are used to, or functions in Java. This is a little bit different. They pay attention on indentations, like you have to indent several steps in those kind of things. I will show you how to define a function and call that functions, how to use parameters and return values in a function, how to call a function on another function, how to call a function inside another class, all those kind of things. I will show you in this class, and I will show you the practical part of it, way it is being used. Lesson 5, we'll go through lists and dictionaries. I will introduce you the lists and dictionaries in Python. There will be several dictionaries, and I'll show you why it's called dictionary, and why it's called list, and I will maybe show you a little bit on different languages, how they call list and how they use dictionaries in different languages. And then we'll create and manipulate lists and dictionaries. I will explain how to use loops and conditional statement to manipulate lists and dictionaries. As you know, loops, you go through dictionaries or list of stuff, and you have to look through and display them on the screen. I will show you all those. Lesson 6, we'll do the main one, the good one, on a practical part of it, called file input and file output. We will learn more on how to read and write files in Python. As you all know, file is main things. Sometimes you have a paper, and or you upload a document, and you have to read that document and output the data. I will show you in Python how those things works. For advanced people, or the people of a little bit advanced, who run different file formats, and the CSV and the JSON, those things. Okay, we'll learn how to parse and manipulate data on, in these formats. You read the data, parse them, and then display them. Lesson 7 will introduce object-oriented programming. This is just introduction. We'll not go deeper on this, because this is a little bit of complex, but it's not. I believe by the time we'll be here, you'll be ready for it. So this is the concept that a lot of programming languages utilize, the object-oriented. In the PHP, there is one. Java, they do object-oriented, and many languages they use, and Python is one of them. So I will introduce the concept, and then we'll learn how to define classes and objects in Python. The classes create objects, and then those objects can be used somewhere else, can be referenced, can be instantiated in another class. Okay, and then we'll go through and explain in inheritance. Inheritance is a class can inherit all the functionality of another class, and those are some of the things that we learn here, and encapsulation as well. We'll go deeper when we get to this lesson. We'll get into web scraping. Web scraping is fun. You love it. You'll go through a website. We'll go maybe Facebook or CNN, or use whichever website you think of, and we can get data out of it by scrolling through it, by scraping it, and get those data, and we can manipulate. We can do many stuff that you love. We introduce libraries that make it possible to do web scraping, like Beautiful Soup or and Request, of course. And then explain how to parse and manipulate data for something that you want. You might get data and manipulate it to suit your need. Lesson 9 will teach you guys how to create basic visualization using Python. Most of the time, for students, you get the grades and you see your grades based on, last semester and this semester, or this grade was this grade, and you see this graphs like this. Most of the time you see there are graphs which can make it, something like that. This one, you see there's a graph which make comparisons. There's a graph like this, with percentage. There's a line graph like this one, and a lot of them. I will teach you how to manipulate it. Which there's a lot of libraries which utilize that. They use Matplotlib and Seaborn. Those are some of the libraries that and these libraries is actually classes, and actually objects which has been pre-built in Python. When you call them, when you import them into Python, and you can use it. You don't have to do much. You can just keep some parameters and manipulate those arguments to output information like this. Okay, so lesson 9 will have project development. This is where we will develop a project, and over time we'll be having ways to show you how to develop a project. We will put together a working project that combines the skills that you've learned from the beginning. Okay, so, and this will also give you an idea on how to piece them together to make something out of this. As I said, this is not a tutorial. This is just a mentorship, and I will mentor you to create something at the end of it to benefit, or you can even use it to present, get a job, something like that. Okay, so I don't want this one to be just a tutorial like any other tutorial. And I will be, if you want tutorial, you could have gone to YouTube and learned that, but this is something that I want to mentor you so that you can create a working project that you can show people what you've done. Okay, my goal, at the end of it, is starting from here and be like this. You're growing at the beginning, learning the variables, learning how to make conditional statement, the loops for each, and then going to object oriented, and then reading the files, and then making graphs, all those kind of things, until you end up working just like this person. Okay, so let's have fun. Let's have fun learning Python programming. Okay, this is amazing. I love it. I've been doing it for many years, and this is fun, and you learn. I hope you learn a lot. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.